Alright, so I'm out in the orchard, and the type of tree spade that I have actually needs a live PTO, so it's actually kind of set up for a continuous flow, and my valves are actually temporary. So I actually have to tie the valve, which corresponds to the valve back here, which sends hydraulic fluid to this unit. So I have to figure out which way it flows. And first, alright, so that's the wrong one, so it's this one. You can see that the one with the hose so it's the one with the hose on it that was moving. So it's this number one that I'm going to have to attach to. So what I'm going to end up doing is tying a string to this. Since I'm working alone, usually if I have someone with me, I'll just have them hold it. But I'm working alone, so I'll do what I have to do. Alright, so I have this set up here with just a rope, and then it brings it back up to here at the hydraulic valve, and all I'll do is just pull on the rope, tie it off down here, and then I can work with the hydraulics in the back. Alright, so all the controls to this are right up over here, and how this works is the 3-point attachment comes up and it lifts everything up against the bottom of your drawbar, so you have to have a drawbar for this style. And then we have a hydraulic cylinder right here that lifts the whole thing up and out of the ground. So let's get this tied off. Well, I have to put you down. Alright, so I have it tied to my top link, which is holding the valve in orientation, which is now sending the flow up to the control device here. And now I can control well, apparently maybe it's in the wrong direction. I have my hydraulic lines hooked up backwards, so I'm going to shut the tractor down, reverse those lines, then we'll start it back up. Alright, so I changed the configuration of the hydraulics here, and what I ended up doing is, because I need live PTO, which means that every time that the tractor is running, that the hydraulic fluid is flowing. So what I did is I came over here and I tied a rope to the control valve that I want it to go to, and then I tied it to this door. And why I did that is because every time that the door closes, it automatically drops that, and then every time it opens, it starts flowing again. Now you have to adjust this to make sure that it'll be full flow, but the reason I did this is the controls are on this side over here, right up there, and if there's an emergency, all I have to do is step back, push the door shut, and it shuts off the hydraulic flow to everything else. The way I had it tied up earlier, it was just going to, if something happened, I was right there at all the hydraulics, and hydraulic fluid would be flowing everywhere. So this way I can jump back, just shut the door, and it shuts everything down, and then I can you know, figure it out how to fix it from there. So it's just a mess containment kind of situation. So let's I'm gonna make final adjustments on this rope, and then we'll go start digging the hole. All right, so we're all tied up. The brake is on, we're in neutral. I'm gonna start the tractor. And then now our hydraulics should be working. Yep. So with this, I can control how far it goes up and down, up and down. So right now, all 3 legs are sitting on the ground. The base here is sitting on my tow bar, and the pressure is being pushed down so I can get a good dig. That's these first 2 controls up here. And now I'm gonna control the spoons. And they have to be worked in one at a time. So a little bit of digging, a little bit of backing out. right, so now I push them in and pull them out, and that kind of works it up, and it cuts any of the roots that are in the ground in the area. So now the next step is going to be to lift it up with 3 points, or actually we're going to lift it up with the hydraulic ram, which is this one right here. Then the whole thing comes up. Yep, that's all the way down. Alright, now if I wanted a bigger hole, I could actually raise these up. But since I'm doing the small fig trees, I'm just going to go ahead and use the smaller holes here. So I'm going to go over, dump this right next to the fig tree, so I can use this dirt to push into that hole, and then we'll dig the fig tree and bring it back and put it in this hole. Alright, so I'm right next to the fig tree here, so I'm just going to dump the dirt because it's out of my way, and then I'll reposition the tractor. So I'll just retract all 3 of the shovels. And I'll bring them all the way out. Alright, now I'm going to open the door. And the door gives me a clear access to back around the fig tree here, so I can just back straight in and not worry about it. It's actually a little bit crooked. Let me adjust its... So I'm just backing around the tree. Trying to center it. Now that I'm basically centered, I'm going to lock the brakes because the 3-point has to stay in the exact spot that it's at. Alright, so the first step is going to be to close the gate to make sure that you're centered, which is this one over here. Alright, now the next one is we're going to lower the whole thing straight down, which is this one here. You can see that we're slightly off center. We need to come back probably 3 inches. So let's move the tractor, and then we'll make the final set. But the key to it is making sure that you don't damage your parts. Make sure that they're high enough off of the ground. So lift it back up so that when you back up, you don't hit anything. All right, so now we're just double checking. We look pretty darn center on this, which is good. So we'll go ahead and set the whole thing down. And then we got to tilt it because so all feet are now on the ground and we're pressing down. Now we can go ahead and put the shovels in. Alright, so now we have all 3 shovels in. Now we go ahead and lift it straight up. And it's actually tilting, so I'm going to have to re-tilt it to make sure that I don't damage a foot. Now typically you dig your hole first, and then when you bring your dirt in, you can put this, put the dirt back in here. Or if you're doing multiples in a day, you can go get some dirt, fill this hole back in. But we have that dirt right there to put back in. All right, so I'm driving directly over the hole, and we'll align the position right here. And that's about it. So I have it locked into, the parking brake is locked on, and now we're gonna go ahead and set it. So now we got it lifted up a couple of inches, and then I got the door open, so we're just going to pull forward just a little bit. And it's that simple to transplant with a tree spade. Now this is an older machine, it's from 1985. It still does a great job. Some of the shovels are bent up a little bit, and so it doesn't cut perfectly all the time, but these are very expensive devices, and I was able to get this one for a good deal used. So I'm very happy with my purchase, and I got a lot more trees to plant. So let me go ahead, I'm just gonna go pack that in, just step on it around there, and then I'll get a water barrel for it today and fill it up, and that's basically the process. Let's go get some more trees. So unfortunately, I got several trees growing right together, so I'm gonna have to pull two of them out of the ground at the same time and physically cut them apart. So I don't have a hole out there waiting on them, but I am gonna go ahead and just pull them out using the tree spade, because it will make my life a whole lot easier than hand digging them. And then we'll go dig a hole out there, cut them apart, and hand plant them. So I'm gonna try to grab these first two. I think I got it centered. Hopefully that gate will go around it. All right, so we got the gate open, or the door open, and so let's lower this down. And we got to close the door now. Let's see if we are gonna have to reposition or not. So it looks like we need to come back a couple of inches again. So we're out in the orchard, and I'm going to plant these 2 trees close to this area here. But first I have to drop them on the ground so I can, unfortunately, cut them in half, the root ball, and then I have to dig 2 holes for them. So first thing is to drop them on the ground, lay them backwards. The wind is blowing from the front of the tractor to the back of the tractor right now, so that's why I'm positioned in this way, so that the wind will blow them away from the tractor.
So I'm using a flathead shovel here to cut the trees apart. It's actually a sharpened shovel for trenching, but it works really well for this type of job. Making the hole a little bit wider here and expanding it out for the roots to be in a straight out position where they don't have to grow upwards or downwards. So that's why I was widening the hole a little bit, because these are some of the trees that have been in the ground for several years and they're actually too big to be using this spade for, but due to the hurricane knocking the trees over, we had little option. So we're giving these trees the best chance that they have because they can't stay where they are currently at.
All right, so the reason that I put the dirt on the downhill side is because when I'm done with the backfill, I can use that to berm it up, so I can water on the uphill side and it creates a berm on the downhill side, and that way I don't have to move the dirt as far. If you're wondering why I'm backing over and going downhill, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but that is the reason. I'm lazy and I don't want to move it as far. So let's get the second tree planted and then we'll go get the rest of the other 3 and apples.
So I realized that using a tree spade to dig a hole for trees is a bit excessive, but like I said earlier, I'm lazy when it comes to doing work that you don't have to do. The one thing that is an issue with using the tree spade is it's too deep, so you end up having to fill some dirt back in. I wish I had some topsoil instead of just normal dirt to put back in that hole before I filled it back in. In retrospect, I wish I had gone and gotten some topsoil and put it in at the base of it. But this tree spade, I actually fell in love with. This is really my first time using this thing, and with this, what I just did there with cutting the trees out like that, like I said, we didn't have many options when we bought these trees at a clearance for $5 a piece. So I bought a bunch of them, and then shortly after that the hurricane came through and destroyed the house and we moved out, and so that's why we're planting these things years after I'd actually gotten them. All those trees were actually tied up to a fence that were sitting there, and then the fence actually got blown over and destroyed during the storm. So the trees actually made it through where the fence was, and so we had to remove the remainder of the fence, and then once I got the tree spade, we went ahead and got these out. So I want to apologize for the content here. I'm working by myself and trying to get some different views so it's not so repetitive over and over. We end up moving about 15 trees, and like I said, working by yourself, trying to get everything done, the wind, the tractor, moving the trees. I ended up having to speed this up, one, because I sound like a hippo in a marathon breathing. I realized after editing this how out of shape I really am, and I'm gonna have to work on that. But yeah, this is my first voiceover attempt with the YouTube, and trying to get this all edited and figured out. So I hope you can work with me and give me a little bit of leniency on learning the systems here. This is one of the trees that I had put the grass clippings around. unfortunately, the wind had literally blown this one over 90 degrees. All of the straps that I had there were snapped when we got home. So pretty much everything had gone over, but the tree made it, so we're going to go ahead and relocate it and put more straps on it and try to get it back upright. But the one thing that I wish I had done with the orchard originally is not having used any of those straps. I think the trees grew too fast and relied on the straps to have support, and then when we had a big storm come through, they weren't strong enough. So if I were to ever do a bunch of new plantings again, there's not a chance that I would ever put down the those supports, plant it and let it grow from a young age, and otherwise you're going to deal with this here where the first windstorm that comes through, once one of those supports gives out, the tree falls over, and this is the aftermath, and we're doing our best to save everything that we can. We lost about 30 trees in total, which was pretty devastating. It's a fact of life that you have to deal with when with Mother Nature and everything that we encounter in life. And hindsight's always 20/20, so you can kind of look back and say, what would I do next time? But with planting an orchard, I can guarantee one thing, is that I would not support any of the trees unless it's absolutely necessary. And here I'm using the bulldozer to go in and create the berms. Now it slopes, you can see in the background up there where the white tote is. That's how I get water out here to this area, is those totes. And that's the top of the hill, so as the rainwater comes down the hill, it gets collected by these large berms and actually helps it so I don't have to water as often. So I went ahead and got the pallet fork, and I'm going to pick up this tote and then go around and water the trees. It's been pretty windy and dry for the last couple of days, so before I get too much more work done for the weekend, I'm going to go ahead and water it. This gives me about 300 to 330 gallons. The one thing you have to consider is that's a lot of weight to be up on that front end loader, and while it looks like I'm going pretty fast, I'm actually crawling. This video clip here is sped up about 600%, so it's actually going significantly slower, and so you have to make sure that the weight, that kind of weight up there bouncing around, can actually snap your front end loaders and your housings if you hit stuff too fast, or you could actually tip over your tractor. So this is actually a very slow, tedious process, one that takes to water these 15 trees. Probably takes an hour to an hour and a half. I just didn't want to torture you with that kind of length of video where you watch it. Alright, well that about sums this up. We got all the trees moved that we can for this weekend, and so we're gonna go back to work. We're gonna get everything watered in, finish up the day, get all the equipment put back together. I wanted to thank you for watching to the end, and as always, if you like it, like this content, please like and subscribe. If you like or hate the music or the background, please put it in the comments below so I can know to alter whatever it is that you guys like or don't like. Anyways, thanks again, and please visit us at www.honeyimhomestead.com. Thank you, and have a great day.